Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let us learn about AWS Glue. So whenever you enter into any service, the general question is, what is that service, right? Yes. So what is this Glue? This Glue is a ETL tool. So what does ETL stands for, sir? ETL stands for extract, transform and load. I hope you watched the introduction video of ETL. Just previous video, there we introduced about it very well. Now let us discuss about this glue. So what is this AWS Glue? This AWS Glue is a ETL tool. Who will manage the underlying infrastructure for it, sir? AWS. It's a fully managed ETL tool. Which type of ETL tool? It's a fully managed ETL tool. So that is Glue is serverless. So what is this Glue? It's a fully managed ETL tool where AWS will take care of underlying infrastructure like servers. Okay. So what does Glue contains? Glue contains three important components. Those are data store, crawlers, and data catalog. What are they? Data store, crawlers, and data catalog. I'll tell you about them. Data store, Glue crawler, and Glue data catalog. So these are the three important components that we need to focus on. Okay. So what is this data store, sir? Data stores are the places where actual data is present. Data stores are the places where actual data is present. You can take an example as S3 or RDS or Redshift or DynamoDB. So what is this data store? These are the places where actual data is present. Okay. Now in the ETL, what you done? Extract, transform, and load, right? Yes. So here actually your data is there. Now, in order to connect to this data store, you require some service, right? Yes. So in order to connect to this data store and to identify format and schema of data. So to connect to this data store and identify the format and schema of data, we use Glue crawler. In Glue, we use these crawlers in order to connect to the data store and identify the format and schema of the data which is present in your data store. Okay. To identify format and schema of data, we need to connect to this store, right? Yes, we need to connect to this store. So for that connection between your Glue crawler and data store, we use JDBC connection or RDS connection or Redshift connection. So by using these connections, you can able to connect to your data store by using this Glue crawler. So after connecting, what you can able to achieve from this Glue crawler is you can able to read or you can able to identify the format and schema of the data present in the data store, right? Yes. So then this crawler will connect to the data store and identifies the metadata like format and schema of the data and store the metadata in data catalog tables. So where it will store the metadata, where Glue crawler store the metadata inside Glue data catalog tables, inside the Glue data catalog tables. So I hope you understood these three important components, that is data store, where your actual data is present, and by using the crawler you can able to connect to this data store, and you can able to identify the schema or format of your data. Then you can able to identify the metadata of the data. And so in order to store that metadata and format or schema, we need some place, right? Yes. So that place is here under Glue data catalog. Under tables, we will store that data. So even I provided the important points as dark. You can see data stores, places where we can actually, where actual data is present. And to identify the format of the schema of data, we use Glue crawlers, and we can able to identify the metadata, and we can able to store that under Glue data catalog tables. Okay. Now let's question us that how this Glue crawler classify the data present in the data store. So to classify the format and schema of the data present in data store, this Glue crawler uses classifiers. It uses classifiers. We have two types of classifiers. Those are built-in and custom classifiers. So these built-in classifiers, let's discuss about them. In these built-in classifiers, there we don't need to write anything to classify data formats. To classify data formats, we don't need to write anything under the built-in classifiers. Everything is available for classifying the data formats like JSON, CSV, web logs, and many data streams. And we also have this custom classifier, right? Yes. Here, based on schema, we have flexibility to write the logic. So here we have flexibility to write the logic based on the schema for the format we are expecting to classify. So in this classifier, we have flexibility to write the logic for the schema. Whereas in the built-in classifiers, we have already existing built-in classifiers. We can just use them to classify the data. So in this way, this Glue crawler can able to classify our data. Now, in order to create this Glue crawler, let us analyze what are the options that we need to mainly configure. The first one is, here you can see data store. We need to select at which data store our data is present, right? Yes. So first one is we need to select the data store. So this also we need to configure data store. And the second one is we need to configure data catalog, right? Data catalog table. Yes. To select this, we need to create a table in Glue data catalog. Before creating this crawler, So the important point it is we must need to create a table before creating the crawler, or else while creating the crawler also you can have an option to create this table, where in this table we will store our metadata, right? Yes, we'll store our metadata. We'll write and store our metadata. Now to classify, or filter the required data from the data that we are getting from data store, we require classifiers, right? Yes. So this also we need to configure. Okay. Now to access the data stores, either it may be S3 or Redshift or any other service, this glue crawler require permission, right? Yes. So in order to provide that permission to access the data stores like S3, we need to provide an IAM role. What we need to provide an IAM role. So you can see what are the important things that we need to configure. Those also I have marked. Data store we need to configure, and data catalog we need to configure data catalog table, and we also need to configure classifier, and we need to configure IAM role to access this data store. Now let's move on to lab directly, and let's see how to configure, how to create a glue crawler. Let's see the options that what we need to configure hands on. So for that, we first need to log into AWS. So I have already done. I have already logged into my AWS account. Now I'm just searching for, so whenever you log into AWS console, you will reach to the home page, right? Yes, I am currently in the home page. Now I'm searching for Glue. So I got the service. I'm just clicking on it. You can see it opened. So I have many options available here. Don't need to worry. I'll explain you each and everything. So first, we have learned about three components. That is data catalog, tables we have learned. That is where we store our metadata. So in order to crawl the database, we have crawlers. So we have classifiers also in order to classify or filter the metadata, right? Yes. So here also you can see, so first prepare your account for Glue, AWS Glue by setting IAM role. You can able to set up IAM role from here, and then catalog and search for database. So data catalog, under the data catalog, you need to search for the data sets. So how the data sets you get is by using the crawler. By using crawler, you need to provide this, you need to create this database and tables in the data catalog by using these crawlers. So now we are in this step to creating the crawler to create the tables. So now let us see how to, so what are the options that we need to configure while creating the crawler. So I'm just clicking on create crawler. I'm just clicking on crawlers. I already have one. Now I'm just clicking on another create crawler. You can see we are on the first step. It was asking us to enter the crawler name. I'm just entering the random name. Crawler1 as the name I provided. Now I'm just clicking on next. Now we entered into choose data source. Now we entered into choose data sources and classifiers. So while explaining the theory, I have explained to you that we need to choose the data source from where, which data source we are crawling the data. we have two options. Is there your data already mapped to glue tables? The answer is if it is mapped, then click on yes. If not, if it is already mapped, then it asks you to add the table. If not mapped, then it asks you to select the source. So I'm just adding the source. You can see, let us see what are the sources that it supports. It supports S3, JDBC, DynamoDB, and Data Lake, Iceberg, Hudi, and DocumentDB. Yeah. So these are the databases that it supports. These are the data sources that this crawler is supporting to us. So I'm just clicking on S3. So whenever you're having data in these sources only, we can able to crawl the data by using Glue crawler. So I'm just selecting this source. Now I'm just leaving the options default, and here you can see locate S3 bucket. In my account, I am having that S3 bucket. So in that S3 bucket, I am having some objects. So I'm just clicking on browse. So here you can see I have two folders. I'm selecting one. I'm choosing that. So under this, we need to provide which data. So under this folder, whatever the data is there, that all will be selected now. Now you have subsequent crawler runs on all subfolders or only new subfolder or based on events you need to run. So you have three options available here. Currently, I'm expecting to run my crawling job on all subfolders. I'm just selecting it. If you want to exclude any file by using matching pattern, you can add an exclusion pattern here. If you don't want, then just remove it and sample only a subset files. So if you want to sample only a set of subset files, then you can enter here so that those many files will be taken. I'm not expecting this. That's it. So if you click on add store, add an S3 data store so that your data store will be created. You can see it is created. Yeah, it is created and with the configurations that we provided. Now, what I'm just clicking is I'm just moving on with. Now we have added an S3 data source. Now I'm just clicking on next. You can see it was asking me to provide an IAM role. Since I am expecting to access S3, I need to provide a IAM role where it contain access to S3 policy. I have already created one, so I'm just attaching it. You can see lake formation configuration. If you want to use lake formation credentials for crawling S3 data source, then use it or else deselect it. So I'm just leaving it optionally. You also have security configuration, additional security here by pushing logs to CloudWatch if you want. Currently, I'm not expecting, so I'm just clicking on next. You can see now we reach to set outputs and scheduling. Previously, what we chosen, here we chosen the data source. So in similarly, here you need to choose the output and scheduling. So where you are expecting to store your data, you're expecting to store your data under data catalog database tables, right? Yes. So that you need to specify here. You need to choose the database. Currently I'm having this, I have previously created. If you want to create another, then you can click here so that you can have option to create a database. Now I'm just moving it up. You can see additional options also available for you for S3 schema. So at last you have the frequency. That means, so here I need to specify one more point, that is how to execute. How to execute. So what are the ways for you to execute these crawlers? So after creating these crawlers, what are the ways to execute these crawlers? So in order to execute these crawlers, we have three ways. First one is on demand. That is whenever we require, in that way, at that time, we just run that crawler. Or else second way is whenever we will create a schedule. That is, you can see here hourly we can able to trigger. So these many hours, after these many hours you can able to trigger, or else daily you can trigger, or weekly you can trigger, and monthly you can trigger, or else if you want you can able to create a customized way as well. So based on the custom metrics that you said, so based on that it will trigger. So currently I'm choosing on demand. That means whenever you run, then it will run the code. So I'm just clicking on next. So now everything is set. You just click on create crawler. So if you click on it, so that your crawler will be created, I'm just canceling it because I already have a crawler to show you. You can see if you click on it, so that it will be created like this, and then you just click on this under this run button. So just select this and just click on run, so that your crawler will run successfully, and then you got logs. So based on the logs, you can able to identify the crawler run successfully or failed at some event. And you can see the output results under your database catalog tables. So you can see I have my database catalog table here, that is this. So in this table, I can see my data as well. You can see the data is visible here, right? Yes. So from where it is getting, from this S3 bucket, I am getting this data. So if I open that S3 bucket, so previously I've already created a S3 bucket with some data. So this is my data. So by using that data, I am just crawling that data. I'm just crawling that data. I'm just crawling that S3 data. By using this glue crawler, by using this glue crawler, I just crawled that S3 data, and whenever I run this, then under the database table, what I've created, there I got my data successfully. In this way, you have to create your own crawlers to run your crawling job on sources. Till now, we have done up till here, that is glue data. Under glue data catalog, we have a metadata that is stored under table, right? Yeah. So after crawler creation, we need to run the crawler. We have already done it, so that crawler can run and classify the data from this data store and store the results in this data catalog table, right? So we have already monitored that result. Now we have data under this glue data catalog table. So we now expect to perform this ETL job. So what is this ETL job? Extract, transform, and load. So we have already seen extraction. Now by using this ETL job, let us see extraction, transforming, and loading as well. So for doing this, we need to create a job in Glue. So by creating a job in Glue, we can able to do this, and need to run the job in the Glue. So for creating job, we have three options. Job is nothing but code, either it may be Python or Scala. So to generate this code, we have the three options. What are they? Visual ETL, notebook, and script editor. What is this visual ETL, sir? So by using this visual ETL, we just drag and drop service icon and just select few configurations by clicks. So our code will generate automatically for us. So our job code will generate automatically for us in this visual ETL. So what about this notebook, sir? So it will be same like your Jupyter notebooks. They are very interactive notebooks where we can able to write and edit Python codes to run our ETL jobs in AWS Glue. So what about this script editor, sir? Here we can able to write an interactive editor script where we can able to edit the script and we can able to test debug. So we can able to do all the things here in this editor script. So that's about job, ETL job. So by using this ETL job only, you can able to do extracting, transformation and loading the table data into particular target. You can able to extract the data, transform the data and load the data into the target by using this ETL job only. If you want to monitor, you have AWS CloudWatch also available to you. So to create this ETL job, what are the things we need to configure, sir? We need to configure Glue data catalog. So this is the source, right? So that source we need to configure and what transformation we are required. So that transformation we need to configure in it. And we also need to configure in which target we need to store our data. So those things we need to configure. Additionally, we also need to configure the things like, so generating the script and job running mode, that is scheduling based on event trigger or scheduling based or on demand based. You want to create your job, those things you need to specify. So let us see how to create or what are the options that we need to configure to create this job directly from AWS Management Console. For that, I have just opened the Glue service. So in this, we have already discussed and familiar with the databases and database related tables. If you open this, then it will open the tables which are present in this database. You can even open those tables directly from here. And then you have seen already the crawlers, and these classifiers are even, you have seen that you can able to classify your data by using built-in classifiers or else your own classifiers. You can able to classify based on one of the classification. If you want a JSON script, you can classify that by creating one classifier with specific name, JSON classifier. So like this, you can able to provide some name and just create this, and then you use it when you're creating a crawler job, and you just click on CSV file if you want CSV related classifier. So like that, you can able to create your classifier based on your requirement. And then you can use the classifier under crawler to classify your data. So what about these connections? If you want to provide connection between your job and your destination, or else you can say target, then these are helpful to you. So these are helpful to provide connection between your job and target. So for that, click on create. So then here you need to provide the destination detail. So let's say I want to move my data to this, then I'm just specifying this, and you need to provide the name by using which connector you want to. I'm just specifying the name of connector as connector 1, and then you need to provide the connector type. You want JDBC connector or Spark connector or Athena connector, that you need to specify here. Then you need to configure the related details. Optional details are no needed. Then just at last you can see the option that is create connector to create that. So like that you can able to create your own connectors. Now let us see. Here you can see the schemas of the data tables that you already using. Now let us see how to create this ETL jobs. So here we have three options. So it was loading. Here you have three options, that is a visual, ETL, notebook, and script editor. So by using these three options, you can able to create your job. So example jobs you can see here. You can directly click here to create that. So during creation, you need to select service and then drop here. That's it. And then if you want to add one more node, so here you can see three options are available: sources, transformation, and target. Now I just selected one source, right? Yes, I selected a source. Now I want to provide a transformation. That is, so any one of the transformation that you can able to select. I want to drop duplicates that I have selected. So now you just need to connect these two. Now I'm expecting to apply this drop duplicates to this S3 bucket. So for that, you need to combine these two things so that it will be attached, right? Yes. So in addition to this, I want to store the results in destination bucket. For that, you can add. So under the targets, you need to select where you want to store. I want to store in another S3 bucket. So I've just selected it. If you got multiple, then you can have option to delete it as well. Now you simply connect these. So by using this visual editor, you can able to connect like this, and then you can configure the details as well. So what S3 bucket as your source data you want to put, that you have to select. I'm just selecting it. So under this, I've just chosen this. Okay, now you need to also provide the destination, right? So that also you need to provide here. So you want to format the data in Parquet or JSON, which format you want at the destination, that you need to select, and then you need to choose the destination bucket. There it will be saved. I'm just choosing the existing buckets. So in this way you can able to choose your data, and then you can even now visually you have created the code. You can see the script here. So it will generate by default. Here I am getting the error that is job not been saved. I'm just saving it. So you can see the job details under job detail session. So the job, so you need to provide some job name, and you also need to provide some IAM role for it to do the job. So like that, you need to provide the details. In the visual editor, you'll create the jobs. So like this, you can able to create a job and you can able to run the job. So for running the job, you will have an option here to run the job. You just click on it so that it will run for you. So I'm just moving on with another options. So we have seen visual editor, we have notebooks. So for that, we first need to configure a notebook, which type of notebook we want. And we also need to provide some IAM role for it. We have job running mode as well. You can able to see the summary from here. You can able to monitor that things. You can able to see the data catalog tables as well, data connectors that you created already, and workflow orchestration. So how the workflow will be, so that you can able to manage from here. So I hope you understood this video. You got some knowledge with data catalog tables and glue crawlers, how to create a glue crawler and where the data is stored in the tables, and how to create a ETL job. So I hope you understood these things, and I hope you understood the options which are present under the AWS Glue. You understood the theory about AWS Glue. I hope this video is understanding to you. If you feel this video is contentful, then please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thanks for watching again. See you back in the next video. Until then, bye bye.